The day the human named Eli Ward arrived on the alien world of Varnus, the skies were violet, and 3 suns burned across the horizon. The people of Varnus whispered his name like a myth. He was the blind soldier, the man who fought in the War of Vale without sight, who guided ships through radiation storms by sound and instinct. Eli stood straight, calm, his sightless eyes covered by a thin black cloth. He could not see the towers around him or the crowd staring at him, but he felt their judgment like heat on his skin. The aliens, tall and graceful, shimmered with crystal skin that reflected light in strange ways. And among them, hidden behind a curtain, stood a woman no one dared to mention, Kalira, the ugly sister. The nobles of Varnus gathered in the great hall of glass. Their laughter echoed like cold bells. "A reward for the brave human," said Lord Vethan, their leader. "A bride from our royal bloodline." His tone carried a quiet mockery. The crowd chuckled. They already knew who the bride would be. The one they called a curse. The one they wanted to hide forever. Eli bowed respectfully. "I am honored," he said softly. "But I do not need a reward. I only came because you called me." "Ah, but it is our custom," said Lord Vathan. "You saved our fleet from destruction. You deserve the gift of union. You deserve companionship." At that moment, the doors opened. The sound of quiet footsteps crossed the marble floor. Eli heard her breath first, and soft, uneven, trembling. The air shifted slightly as if even the wind pitied her. Kalira stopped before him. She was covered in a dark veil, hiding her face. Her hands were thin, marked by faint scars that glowed pale blue under the light. The people behind her looked away as if her presence alone brought shame. "This is my sister," said Lord Vathan, his smile cruel. "She has beauty of another kind," the aliens laughed. They thought Eli would flinch or refuse, but instead the blind man simply reached out his hand. His fingers brushed the air until they found hers. "Your hands are warm," Eli said quietly. "That is enough." Kalira froze. No one had ever spoken to her that way. Her voice trembled as she whispered, You are not afraid?" "Of what?" he asked. "Of me." Eli smiled faintly. "I have fought in darkness all my life. There's nothing left that scares me." The hall fell silent. The nobles didn't know whether to laugh or feel insulted. The alien guard shifted uneasily. Something in the human's calm voice made them uncomfortable. Lord Vethan clapped slowly. "Then it is settled. You will take her as your mate. You may live in the old house near the southern ridge, a quiet place, far from the city." Eli nodded politely. "Thank you." Kalira lowered her head. She expected rejection, but instead the blind human treated her with kindness. It confused her, and it scared her too. That night the wind howled across the alien plains. The southern ridge was silent except for the sound of metal doors creaking open. Eli stepped into his new home, an ancient house made of living crystal. The walls pulsed faintly with light like veins beneath skin. Kalira followed behind him, her steps uncertain. She kept her veil down, afraid of his reaction if he touched her face. "You can take the east room," she said softly. "It's still warm." Eli turned his head toward her voice. "You'll sleep where you want," he replied. "I can manage anywhere." He placed his hand on the wall. The surface was smooth, almost alive. "Your houses? They hum," he murmured. "Yes," she said. "They are built from crystal grown in sacred soil. Some say they remember voices." Eli smiled. "Maybe they'll remember ours." Kalira stared at him in silence. The alien world had never shown her warmth, but this human spoke as if she was worth remembering. As days passed, they began to live quietly. Eli repaired broken tools, fixed the roof by touch, and cooked simple meals with ration packs he brought from Earth. Kalira helped him find his way, though he seemed to need little help. He could hear footsteps 2 rooms away, sense walls without touching them, and even tell the difference between wind and breath. "You walk like you can see," Kalira said one morning. "I see differently," he replied. "Every sound paints a picture in my head." "And what do I look like?" "In your picture?" she asked, voice hesitant. Eli thought for a moment. "You sound gentle, careful, like someone who's afraid to break the silence." Kalira turned away. "You're wrong," she said quietly. "I'm not gentle. I was born cursed." Eli tilted his head. "Cursed how?" She lifted her veil slightly. The faint light revealed her scars, irregular lines of glowing blue running down her cheek and neck. "When I was a child, I was caught in a radiation storm. My body changed. My family hid me ever since. They said my face brings shame. Eli didn't speak for a long moment. Then he said simply, "Scars mean you survived." No one had ever said those words to her before. For the first time, Kalira smiled beneath her veil. But that night, Eli couldn't sleep. The house seemed alive. He heard faint whispers through the crystal walls, soft and rhythmic, almost like breathing. At first he thought it was Kalira talking in her sleep, but the voice was strange, distant, layered, as if it came from deep underground. He stood up quietly, moving by memory. His hand touched the wall. The hum grew louder. The voice spoke his name. His blind eyes widened. "Who's there?" he whispered. The whisper came again, but it wasn't in his ears. It was inside his head. "The light. She carries the light." Eli stepped back, breathing heavily. "What are you?" he demanded. No answer came, only a pulse of warmth from the floor like a heartbeat. The house shivered faintly. Moments later, Kalira appeared at the doorway, her eyes wide. "You heard it too?" Eli turned toward her. "You know this voice?" She hesitated. "They said, our family built this house over something ancient, something sacred, but no one believes the old stories anymore." Eli's brow furrowed. "Maybe they should." Kalira's hands trembled. "You shouldn't have heard it. The voice only speaks to those with Varnian blood." Eli smiled faintly. "Then maybe it knows something I don't." The lights in the wall dimmed and silence returned. But both of them knew that something had awakened, something that was not supposed to. The next morning the alien guards visited. Lord Vethan sent them with supplies and a warning. "Do not wander near the ridge," one guard said coldly. "The ground is unstable, dangerous." Eli nodded politely, but Kalira's face turned pale. After the guards left, she whispered, "The ridge isn't dangerous. It's forbidden." "Why?" "Because below it lies the Veil Core, a crystal heart said to hold our ancestors' spirits." Eli listened quietly. He could hear fear in her voice. "And you think the voice came from there?" Kalira nodded slowly. "It speaks only when the balance is broken. It's said to call those who will change fate." Eli chuckled softly. "Then fate must be bored if it's calling a blind man." Kalira looked at him, half afraid, half curious. "You laugh at things others fear." Eli turned his face toward the rising suns. "Maybe because I've already seen worse in the dark." She didn't know if he meant the war or something deeper, but for the first time in her life, Kalira felt that her curse might not be a curse at all. That night, as they sat near the glowing hearth, the walls hummed again, this time louder, clearer. Both of them felt it, a soft vibration under their skin, like a heartbeat sinking between them. Eli whispered, "It's not done speaking." Kalira whispered back, "Then maybe it's waiting for both of us." The last light flickered across their faces. Outside, the ridge glowed faintly blue under the alien moons. Alive, watching, waiting. And somewhere deep beneath the house, the ancient voice whispered again, "The blind shall see and the unseen shall awaken." The suns of Varnus rose slowly, painting the alien sky in soft purple and gold. The old crystal house shimmered faintly under the light, alive with whispers that only Eli and Kalira could feel. Since that strange night, the walls no longer slept. Sometimes when Eli touched them, he felt tiny pulses like heartbeats trapped in stone. Kalira tried to act calm, but deep inside she was afraid. The voice had spoken her name once, and now she feared that the house remembered her more than it should. Still, their quiet days continued. Eli fixed tools, learned alien instruments, and even taught Kalira how to cook human food. In return, she taught him about Varnian customs, the glowing plants that sang at night and the strange energy crystals used for healing. But every evening, when silence filled the house, the whispers returned. One night, Kalira found Eli sitting near the wall, his hand pressed against it. "You're listening again," she said softly. Eli turned his head slightly, smiling. "It's strange. It doesn't sound like one voice anymore. It sounds like many, like echoes waiting for someone to answer." Kalira sat beside him. "You shouldn't listen too long. The old spirits were said to drive mortals mad." Eli chuckled. "Too late for that. A blind man who married a cursed woman. People already think I'm mad." She smiled faintly under her veil. "You speak lightly, but you don't understand how dangerous this is. The nobles don't like when old powers awaken." Eli leaned back. Maybe they shouldn't build their homes on top of secrets. For a moment, silence filled the air again, except for a low hum that only they could hear. Then the wall pulsed softly, glowing faintly blue. Kalira's eyes widened. Eli, she whispered. It reacts to you. He frowned. To me, I'm not one of you. She shook her head. It doesn't respond to humans. But when you touch it, her voice faded. It's like it knows you. Eli placed his hand on the wall again. The glow spread wider, forming shapes, circles, lines, waves. He felt warmth under his skin, then sudden cold. The voice came back, faint but clear this time. Two lights bound by fate. One blind, one unseen. Kalira gasped. That's the prophecy. Eli turned toward her voice. Prophecy? She hesitated, fear trembling in her tone. The elders used to tell it when I was young. They said that one day when our kind forgot the old ways, the blind and the unseen would join and awaken the core. I never believed it. Eli tilted his head. And now, she looked into the glowing wall, her scars catching the light. Now I don't know what to believe. The next day, things began to change. The crystal house glowed brighter every night. Animals from the ridge started coming closer, silent creatures with glassy eyes that watched from the shadows. Kalira noticed the ground near the house vibrating faintly, as if something below was trying to breathe. Meanwhile, in the city, rumors spread. Guards whispered that the blind human had cursed the southern ridge. Nobles mocked Lord Vethan, asking if he had gifted the alien sister or doomed her. Lord Vethan grew restless. He sent 2 soldiers to spy on Eli's home, but when they approached at night, the ground beneath them glowed blue and they ran back in terror, claiming they heard voices calling their names. Inside the house, Eli and Kalira grew closer. Their quiet companionship turned into something deeper, something neither of them dared to name. Sometimes Eli would sit near the window listening to her hum softly. You sound peaceful when you sing, he'd say. Kalira would smile sadly. I used to sing for my sister. She said it made the stars seem closer. You miss her, Eli said gently. She never missed me, Kalira replied. She was beautiful. Everyone loved her. I was only her shadow. Eli stood and moved closer. Even shadows can guide lost men, he said. They show where the light falls. Kalira turned her face away, hiding her blush behind the veil. You say strange things, human, he smiled. Then maybe that's why I was sent here. That night the whispers returned, louder than ever. The floor vibrated under their feet. Eli woke up, breathing heavily. He could hear the voice calling again. This time not in words, but in rhythm, like a song he couldn't understand. Kalira ran into his room. It's the core, she cried. It's waking. The walls lit up with moving symbols. The light danced across their faces. Eli reached out blindly, his hand finding hers. What's happening? The energy beneath the ridge, she said quickly. It's reacting to us. Eli closed his eyes. Then maybe it's time we see what it wants. Before she could stop him, he stepped toward the door. The night outside glowed faintly blue, as if the stars had fallen to the ground. The ridge pulsed like a beating heart. Kalira grabbed his arm. You'll die if you go near it. No one who entered the core ever returned. Eli turned his face toward her, calm but firm. Then stay behind me. If it's calling us, maybe it's not death. Maybe it's truth. She hesitated, but something inside her, something ancient, whispered to follow. They reached the ridge together. The air shimmered, heavy and strange. Blue mist rose from cracks in the ground, whispering like thousands of voices speaking at once. Eli knelt down, touching the soil. It was warm, alive. Suddenly his body shook. Visions flashed in his mind. Cities of light, ancient warriors, and beings made of crystal. And at the center of it all, Kalira, glowing like a star. He gasped and fell to his knees. Kalira caught him. Eli, he grabbed her hand, trembling. I saw them. Your ancestors. They're not gone. They're waiting for you. She stared at him in shock. How can you see visions? You're human. I don't know, he whispered. But I felt them through you. It's like I can see when I'm near you. Her heart raced. You can see. Through me? Yes, he said softly. It's not with my eyes. It's like our souls are connected. Kalira's breath trembled. Then maybe that's what the prophecy meant. Suddenly, a beam of light erupted from the ground surrounding them both. The energy lifted them slightly off the surface. Kalira screamed as glowing marks appeared on her arms, matching the scars on her face. Eli held her tightly. Don't fight it. Just trust me. The light grew brighter until everything vanished. When they woke, it was morning. The ridge was quiet again. The house stood untouched. But something inside both of them had changed. Eli sat up slowly, rubbing his eyes. "Kalira, I saw your face." She froze. "You saw me?" He nodded, just for a second. "When the light touched us, you were beautiful." Tears filled her eyes. "No one ever said that to me." Eli reached for her hand. Maybe they were looking the wrong way. She smiled faintly. But before they could speak further, a voice echoed from the distance. Soldiers were approaching. Lord Vethin's troops. Kalira's smile faded. "They know. They must have seen the light." Eli stood up. "Then we need to leave." "They'll kill you," she said. "They don't want the core awakened." "Then we'll give them a reason to fear it," Eli replied calmly. Kalira looked at him with wide eyes. "You don't understand. This power isn't meant for mortals. It could destroy everything." Eli touched her cheek gently. "Maybe destruction is what they need to start over." Before she could answer, the door burst open. Alien soldiers filled the room, their weapons glowing. Lord Vethin entered, his expression cold. "So the blind human found our secret?" Eli stood tall, unafraid. "Your secret found me," Vethin sneered. "You've bonded with the cursed one. You've awakened the core. Do you have any idea what you've done?" Eli's voice was steady. "I freed what you buried." Vethin raised his hand. "Take them both. The core's power will not fall into human hands." Kalira screamed as the guards grabbed her. Eli tried to fight, but energy bolts struck his chest, knocking him to the ground. The last thing he heard before darkness took him was Kalira's voice crying his name. When Eli woke again, he was in a cold metal cell. His wrists were bound by energy cuffs. The air was filled with the faint hum of machines. From somewhere far away he heard a whisper, the same voice from the core. "The blind shall see, and the unseen shall rise." Eli lifted his head, a slow smile forming on his bruised face. "They think they can stop this," he whispered to the empty cell. "But it's already begun." The cell was silent, cold, and gray. Eli Ward sat alone in the darkness, his hands bound by glowing cuffs. He could hear faint echoes, metal boots, murmurs, and electric hums. Somewhere beyond those walls, Kalira was trapped too. He didn't need eyes to know she was crying. He could feel it, as if her sadness touched the air around him. The voice from the core still echoed in his head. Soft, calm, but full of power. "The blind shall see, the unseen shall rise," he whispered back. "Then show me how." Suddenly the metal around his wrists grew warm. A pulse ran through his skin. The same strange rhythm he had felt when touching the crystal walls. Eli closed his eyes. The darkness around him shifted, melted, and became something new. He could see, not with eyes, but with light inside his mind. Shapes appeared, walls, corridors, guards. He saw Kalira locked in a glowing chamber nearby, her body surrounded by energy beams. Her scars glowed brighter than ever, forming ancient patterns across her skin. Eli clenched his fists. "Hold on, Kalira," he whispered. "I'm coming." In her cell, Kalira sat on her knees, trembling. The energy field around her hummed like angry thunder. Lord Vethin stood outside, his cold eyes watching her. "You've done enough damage," he said. "You and that human have disturbed the balance of this world." Kalira lifted her head weakly. "We didn't disturb it, we woke it. The core called to us." Vethin's voice turned sharp. "You were always a mistake, Kalira. A scar on our name. I gave you to the human because I thought he would never notice your ugliness. And now look, your curse threatens us all." Tears filled her eyes. "You can't see what's beautiful anymore. That's why your kind is dying." Vethin's expression twisted with rage. "You will watch your human die, and then I will erase you from this world." He turned to the guards. "Prepare the core chamber. We will drain their energy and seal it again." The guards bowed and left. Kalira fell forward, whispering softly, "Eli, please, don't come." But deep in her heart, she knew he already was. Eli focused on the glowing lines in his mind. Every vibration in the air guided him like a map. He could hear footsteps before they came, smell ozone before a weapon fired, and feel the cold hum of every wall. He broke his cuffs easily. Energy crackled, but his body no longer felt pain. Something from the core now lived inside him. He walked out of the cell slowly, quietly. Guards patrolled the corridor, but he could sense their positions before they moved. When the first guard raised his weapon, Eli dodged and grabbed him by the arm. A spark passed between them. The guard fell unconscious instantly. Eli moved forward step by step. guided by the unseen light. He whispered to himself, "Not sight, connection." Meanwhile, in the core chamber, Kalira was surrounded by scientists and nobles. Wires and glowing crystals pulsed around her. She was weak, but her eyes still burned with determination. Lord Vethin stood before her. "When the process begins, your energy will return to the core. It will be as if you never existed." Kalira looked up, her voice trembling but fierce. "You cannot erase what you don't understand," he smirked. "I understand enough to fear it." He turned away. "Begin." The machines roared to life. Beams of light surrounded Kalira, lifting her into the air. The marks on her skin glowed white-hot, and she screamed in pain. At that same moment, far down the hall, Eli felt her agony through the bond. The pain struck his chest like fire. He fell to his knees, clutching his heart. But instead of fear, anger filled him, cold and steady. He rose slowly, his fists glowing faintly blue. "You hurt her," he whispered. "Now you'll see what a blind man can do." Eli moved faster than sound. Every step echoed like thunder through the metal halls. Guards tried to stop him, but energy shields shattered when he touched them. Doors melted open. The core's light guided him forward. Finally, he reached the chamber. The moment he stepped inside, everyone froze. Lord Vethin turned sharply. "You're supposed to be dead." Eli's sightless eyes glowed faintly. "You should have checked twice." The guards raised their weapons. Energy bolts filled the air, but Eli lifted his hand and the shots curved around him. Absorbed by the blue aura surrounding his body, Kalira, still trapped in the machine, saw him through the haze of light. "Eli," he smiled faintly. "I told you I'd find you." He reached for the control console and placed his palm on it. The entire machine trembled, reacting to his touch. The energy field around Kalira cracked, then shattered. She fell into his arms, weak but alive. Ethan shouted, "Stop them!" The guards charged. Eli turned his head slightly, and with a wave of his hand, the floor beneath them pulsed with light. The core's energy burst upward, sending them flying back. Kalira looked at him with wide eyes. "You're glowing." He nodded. "Maybe your curse rubbed off on me." She shook her head softly. "It's not a curse. It's a gift." The core beneath the chamber began to pulse faster and faster. The walls glowed brighter than ever. The machines overheated, sparks flying everywhere. Vethin stumbled backward. "You fool. You're waking it completely." Eli turned toward him, calm but firm. "Maybe that's exactly what it needs." Vethin raised his weapon. "If I can't control it, no one will." He fired. The bolt hit Eli's chest, but instead of piercing him, it vanished into his body. The energy flowed through him, then out again, exploding into light that knocked Vethin to the ground. Eli stood, unharmed. "You see, Lord Vethin, I am blind, but I can finally see the truth." Kalira looked around in awe as the core's energy began to take shape. A massive glowing figure rising from the ground, formed from pure light. It was neither male nor female, but ancient and powerful. The voice filled the room. "You have freed me from silence." Everyone froze. Eli asked softly, "What are you?" "I am the memory of your worlds. The bridge between human courage and Varnian heart. You both have awakened what time tried to bury." Kalira trembled. "What do you want from us?" "Not from you, for you. You are the bond that will heal both kinds. The blind one who saw truth and the unseen who carried light." The light expanded, covering the entire palace. Walls cracked. The ground shook. Vethin screamed as the energy surrounded him. "Your greed ends here," the voice said. The nobles vanished into the light, dissolved without pain, like dust carried by the wind. Eli and Kalira stood in the center, holding each other. "Eli," she whispered, "I don't want to lose you." He smiled faintly. "Then hold on tight." The light burst upward, reaching the sky, painting the heavens blue and gold. The core exploded, not in destruction, but in rebirth. When the light faded, everything was quiet. The palace was gone. The ridge was calm again. Birds sang softly in the air. Eli opened his eyes slowly. He could see. For the first time in years, he saw the world. The glowing plains, the sky, and Kalira's face. She knelt beside him, weak but alive. Her scars were gone, replaced by soft golden lines that shimmered faintly under the sun. He stared at her, tears in his eyes. "You're beautiful," Kalira smiled. "You always said that. But now you can see I was right." Eli laughed softly. "I wasn't wrong before." They sat together on the ridge, the ruins behind them, the rising suns ahead. The Cor's voice whispered one last time. The blind shall see and the unseen shall rise. Together they will guide the dawn. Eli looked at Kalira. What happens now? She took his hand gently. We live, we start again. Humans and Varnians, maybe together this time. He nodded. Then let's make them see what they tried to hide. The wind carried their laughter across the glowing fields. The world had changed because one blind human saw beauty where no one else could, and one scarred alien believed that even the cursed could be loved. Ending line for YouTube outro. They gave him what they thought was a curse, but he found a soul that changed a world.